All right, folks. So first off, the highly requested relationships feature will soon be available in Top Producer X. As I said, it's going to be available as soon as later today. Couple key things about this. It's going to help you obviously stay in touch with those relationship contacts. It's going to help you document them instead of having, instead of being limited to just the spouses in the contact record. They're now going to be split into their own contact records. So that way, if you want to just focus on the primary contact for that transaction you're working on, you can do that much easier. And if you need to include the spouse in some communications, that's also going to be a lot easier, because as you can see in this example here, it's going to actually suggest to you the different relationship contacts automatically. So they very much are separate, but they're linked together at the same time. So best to just jump right in, I believe, and show you guys what this looks like. All right, folks. So here is Top Producer X. This is on our QA servers or our testing servers. So just coming right up to being launched onto production servers for you guys soon, as mentioned. So as an example here, let's say I'm going to my recent tab and I am clicking on Bob here, right? So let's say Bob is kind of the guy I'm in communication with. He's our buyer, let's say, right? But I'm also aware that Bob has a family, right? And so, but where is that family? He has a spouse. I'm not seeing it up here, right? If I go to edit contact, I'm not seeing it there. Well, that's because it's under the brand new relationships tab. So I click on that. There it is right there, nicely organized. I can easily see that Marla is the spouse. I can easily see that Daniel is their child. And what happens if I click on Marla's name? Just instantly takes me to her contact record. So it's very fast, very, very fast. And then I can see that Bob, of course, is also her spouse, because it'll realize the two spouses. It'll say if you had someone as a child, let's say I click on Daniel here, I can see that automatically Marla and Bob are Marla's the parent, of course, right? So it automatically takes care of that for you, keeps everything linked together really nicely. So let's say I want to quickly send Bob and Marla both an email at the same time. Before, you had to compose an email and just kind of like click and drag their address over or that kind of thing. But look at this. I don't even have to do that anymore. It's now just showing me the suggested contact. So might not need to email Daniel. He's the child in this case. Maybe it's just not related to this at all. I could just click on Marla, and just like that, she's included in that email correspondence now. So very smart, automatic. It's just going to let us take care of that. A couple other things. It's very easy to add relationships. I can just go ahead and add someone here. Maybe Janet here is actually a tenant of theirs, let's say, right? I could go ahead and do that. Or landlord, you can do that as well. So tenant, landlord, those are going to link. And just like that, click on the record. There's Bob as a tenant, right? So very, very easy to use. Yeah. And guys, not to worry when you can also create new relationships on the fly. If you need to just add a new contact that doesn't exist yet in your database, think of friends and family from Top Producer AI. You're kind of just adding it on the fly. But now they're going to be a contact in your database. But don't worry, if you don't want to clutter up your database, it is going to automatically default to non-client here for you. So that's the default. You can change it if you need to, but by default, they're going to be out of the way of your sales pipeline. You can focus on that main point of contact, in this case, Bob, let's say, right? So very, very smart, very intuitive, and I think it's going to help you guys a lot. And Dan, anything you want to add on to that?
Yeah, when you are composing that email, what's really cool is now you can actually insert that spouse's name into the actual email. So before it was just like, hi, and then we had a merge code for Janet, the contact that you're sending this email to. But then you'd have to manually type in Bob, who is, or whoever the spouse is for this person, right? Whoever is in this relationship with this person. But now with this update, you can include the spouse into that email message, it's going to be one of the new available merge codes. So Marla here, for example, is a spouse for Bob, and now you can put it in. Also, AI users. Do you want to talk about how that impacts AI users, Spencer?
Yeah, so top producer AI users, guys. You may have had your spouse in that spouse field here. As you can see, it's nowhere to be seen anymore. Don't worry, the spouses are not gone. I actually have an example prepared just for this situation. And Victor and Janet Bosarge. And by the way, guys, these are all make-believe people. Unless you see my name in here somewhere, then that's obviously just me. But Victor and Janet. So let's say this is a contact that I had either previous to relationships being launched or just from top producer AI in general. Well, if I look in relationships, it's not there, but it has this message: convert this contact spouse, Jane Bosarge, to new contact automatically. So all I have to do is click on convert to relationship, and she's going to go into there. But before I do that, I just want to show you the other flow for that. You can also go down to edit contact, and it's also going to let you do it right from there as well. So it's a one-click, one-time thing, convert to relationship, contact saved successfully. It might just take a few more seconds here. We are on our testing server. Yeah, there we go. So that's gone now. I can just go ahead and save that contact. And there we go. Jane Bosarge is now transported over to that relationships area. So yeah, very, very easy, guys. So that's only going to work for the spouse. Just one thing to keep in mind. But still, I think I would say, if I had to guess, 99.9% of secondary contacts added on are usually the spouse. So that's kind of why that's that way.
Yeah, and just to give you guys a little bit of background here, we didn't do it automatically because these spouse fields were in 8i, and certain templates, certain workflow in 8i still uses that spouse field. So we don't want to inadvertently mess something up that you already have going on with that spouse field. So that's why we were very careful with it when we are implementing at least this initial version of it, so that you're the one that's making that decision to convert it from that spouse field into this new relationship feature in Top Producer X. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a why we have that button there.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And one other thing to point out here really quick is you might notice that this spouse tag here, I've made it this kind of turquoise color. That's actually something I did on my own by going to settings and UI settings. And I just did that manually because I thought, hey, it'd be nice to have it stand out. So just a little tip, you can actually customize these tags by going to UI settings. And if you want to take this a step further, my recommendation, guys, would be to actually start adding contact types onto these relationship contacts. So that at a glance, I know that Marla is without a doubt someone's spouse, for example, right? Because see, that color has also taken effect here. And I could say this one's the primary if I really want to make sure that I don't get mixed up or something like that. So contact types are still very much your friend, just as they always have been. Going to help you keep your database that much more organized as well. In the chat there, I've got a question from Tammy saying add spouse with different name. Not sure exactly what you mean, Tammy.
I think what she means is, like, let's say there's two partners, and one person's name is John Smith, and the spouse, his name is Jane Doe.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
If that's what you mean, Tammy, just let us know. Or but yeah, you can definitely do that. There's no limitation on that. Like, for example, if I go into this contact here and I add a new contact, or a new relationship, I should say, I could technically name the last name of this contact anything that I wanted. So it would be kind of up to me to make sure that the name is correct, because they may or may not have the same last name, right? So for example, let's say Jim, and then I save contact. It's not going to automatically create a last name and just take his last name. So what I could do is, when I'm creating the contact, I can definitely just make sure that if he has the same last name, that I put that there. Otherwise, if they don't, like for example, because in this case, maybe he's actually the parent, or like what do you call it? Like a friend, or just like a partner, right? Just like that, right? So yeah, so it's pretty open-ended. We can't really, or shouldn't really, assume anything like that. So it's kind of open-ended enough to allow you to do whatever you need to do.
Yeah. And the short answer, Tammy, yes, definitely can add a spouse with a different name.
Yeah. And so, guys, we're going to have some more content coming up soon for relationships. So keep an eye on the webinar schedule. Dan can post a link there in the chat for you, but that's just on topproducer.com/campus. A webinar schedule is the top across the top menu bar there. So just keep an eye out. We don't have anything officially scheduled yet, but we should have something coming up next month for relationships. 100% focus on relationships. But just want to give you guys a preview for now. And as Dan mentioned in the chat, going to be released around 4:35 p.m. ish today, so you can experience this for yourself. Yeah, you can experience this for yourself very soon anyway. So